Welcome to another episode of the Wood Couture podcast. Continuing our series of Women in Business, we have the pleasure and the honor to host Vera Dieckmann, the founder and CEO of XO Atelier. Welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you. Welcome.
For our friends of the podcast, the one that do not know Vera, unfortunately for you, is that Vera has more than 2 decades of interior architectural experience, graduated as an engineer, then went on and worked for legends such as David Ling, New York, Matteo Thun, DWP, but not only that, Marriott, Fairmont, Raffles. So Vera has an incredible world-class experience. And we're gonna hear all about it right now. And I want to start with you, Vera, by something you quoted in a recent interview. 23 years ago, nobody will want to hire a female architect. They look like an intern. So I turn to the interior side of things.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more.
So now it's 24 years already. So 24 years ago. And I had a project, and it's very funny because I came to this project. So it was for one of my friends who was a developer. And a client bought 2 apartments and he wanted to connect them. And I arrived at this meeting. I was already sitting in the meeting room. And then we did not start it. And I said, so what are we waiting for? And then the client said, we're waiting for the architect. And I was like, I'm here. Oh, I thought you're the intern. So, and that was a quite difficult start. First of all, I always looked much younger. Now I'm nearly 48 and I'm still quite in a good condition. But I mean, when you're like 24 years ago, so you're 24 and you look like, I don't know, you're 18. It's very complicated to get this kind of trust of people and the recognition for your job and that you are not just a nice little head and young, very young, so they trust you with the work and also with budgets and money, right? So, I mean, they give you quite a lot of money and putting the responsibility in your hand. And that's not easy. So, and then construction was just, architecture, engineering was very complicated for me to get my foot on the ground. So no one really wanted me there. I mean, it's really very complicated. And during the time, I think, even in Germany, because it's really a very men-driven job 24 years ago. So it was just like, we got more and more interior projects. And then it turned out to be the interior. And then I focused on this. So and now we do, of course, also still architecture, but very little and more bespoke and very selective for just some selective clients. But overall, it's the interior. And of course, over the time and over the history with all the companies and designers and studios, I focused also on it and also on the production design side. Matteo Thun is also a multi-talent. So he's an architect, he's an engineer as well, but he worked as interior designer. Of course, it's very famous. He won several times the Cador, which is like the Oscar for architecture. And he's also very much into product design because he's together with Rodriguez and they do products, for big brands, right? And it's quite interesting because that was more or less the point where I saw also how it works and how you develop those things and how you do prototyping and this kind of bits and pieces and how it comes together, how also you make your project quite unique and not just a kind of off the shelf or a Pinterest copy. We all work with this, right? We all know.
But through your journey, obviously from the first year, have you had somebody that you looked up like, that's my mentor?
I didn't have a mentor, but I had an idol, and that's very funny because when I studied, I loved Matteo Thun. And I still love him, but it's in a different way. I think it was more this kind of idol thinking. If you're in music, you maybe have a rock star you like, and if you're in art, you have an artist you like. And for me, it was when I remember very well. So I was studying, and you saw this amazing pictures of him in magazines, and I was like, I really loved his style, this modern but still cozy, very sleek and minimalistic, but on point. And also his way when he took over Swatch as art director. It was for me, we all know in the 80s, Swatch was, mind-blowing. or Memphis when he opened Memphis Group. For me, it was really like, wow. And I was always like, oh, I want to work for him. And I mean, during this time, I mean, you graduate and you're like, oh, I want to work for him. I mean, then I worked for David Ling, and he's still a good friend of mine, which is also quite funny. And but then out of a sudden, there was this, when I left Fairman Ruffles, there was this announcement on design jobs, and it was from Studio Matteo Thun, and I was just like, okay, let's apply for it. And a week later, I got an email and an invitation to an interview, and so I went there. And it's quite funny when it's for you, so like it's your idol, your person you look so up. And then you end up and you see the studio, you see the name outside on the wall. And it's really like, oh my God, like it's
that's
crazy.
Me, yeah.
Yeah, and you think like, oh my God, I dreamt about this moment, and now I have the moment to go there, and I meet this person in reality. And that's quite interesting. And then I rejected his offer. That was even more interesting. And then we found a way to come together. But first I rejected it, and it's very fun. But it was great to work there, because I think it's a complete different experience of working with someone who's so established and over such a long time of years. In such an incredible quality of level of projects. I mean, there's a lot of many designers who are on the market for a long time, but there's always an up and down in their design quality. And I think what I think is the excellence of people like Antonio or Patricia Kjola or Matteo Thun is the excellence of projects, that they just have a quite high level in it. That's very interesting. And I mean, he just did last year for El Decor, he did a kind of project, a hospitality project, was an installation in Italy. For me, this was like, really on point. And I know now he's an old gentleman, of course, a bit more elderly. I hope he doesn't hear it in a positive way.
Of course.
Still in a good shape and good looking, but also I think also very close to trends and feeling for style, shape, development of stuff like this. And this is sometimes, I think a lot of designers they tend to be lazy on one point, because you reach a certain level and then you don't evoke and you don't develop anymore further. And I think what I always admired with him is the way of how approach a design and how he approached projects. Also how I learned this kind of vision between things. So how you create and how you design in the concept of it without copying. You can take images from Pinterest, of course, as an inspiration, but you take them in a different way. For example, I mean, if I look now at this glass and you see this incredible kind of curve inside, which has also a reflection of the water on the surface and on the topping, you're a bit like, okay, that could be a cool lamp, right? So, I mean, these are things we are looking in different ways, or the color of it and how it breaks in the little ripples and things like this. So this is more how I see platforms like this, or all this kind of collective platforms of images.
What was the best advice he gave you?
The best advice he gave me, stay as I am. And but the best advice I got from one of my other bosses, which is unfortunately he passed away, was Gunther Spitzley. He was very big in, he had an agency for exhibition design, and he did all the big booths for Lufthansa Expo 2000, and also car industry like Ford and Opel. And he once said to me, never settle for less, and do not accept mainstream. Be better. So I remember I did once a design and he completely killed it. Like we had the handover the day later, and he said like, no, that's not good. And I was, why? And he said, no, it's not good. And he didn't really. And then I was like, why is it not good? He said, you can do better, and I don't want you to settle for mainstream. You're so much better. Go this way. And he also was the one telling me, you're good here, but you should change. So I literally worked for him. I worked for him twice. I worked for him. It was my first job when I graduated. And we did Lufthansa, one of my first jobs. So I did Lufthansa Expo during that time with him. And then I came back to him, like more or less than 11 years later, 12 years later, I came back to him. But I was only with him for a half year, and then he said to me, I want you to look for another position. I want you to go. This is not your place. You should go and find something else. Rise. It's not the place. You don't settle here. That was quite, and he was over a long time, so we kept contact, and then over a long time we had conversations also over design, and if he likes it, and I shared images with him and render and things. So he was a good advisor, I think, a very good and tough person. So I met him. That's very funny because I was still literally studying. It was my last. I was participant on a competition, and the jury member was actually Zahadid, and he was also one of the jury members. And I joined this competition, and so I met him at the award ceremony because I won the third, but not the best. But he came to me and he said I was supposed to be the winner, and then he offered me a job. So that was like, quite interesting. A very good person, very charismatic. And I learned this, that you actually, he earned, like when a person comes in a room and talks about design and he literally owns the room. That was his way of talking about design and talking about his designs and talking about the way he sees it. It was very passionate and lots behind it. Very big mover. Unfortunately, we lost him 2 years ago, but still good memory.
I want to build upon that one, and because you are an artist, you are a real artist, and also family. One of your family members, your mum is an artist, and you also have a gallery in Belgium, or you.
I'm listed in a gallery in Belgium and New York. Yes, Gallery Filia. Yes, we are.
But I was blown away by there is a quote at the bottom of your profile on the website that says that I want to make beautiful things, even if nobody cares.
Yes.
Tell me a bit more why you chose that.
I chose this because sometimes I think people don't really care about the beauty of things. Sometimes it's very mainstream, or when you above your time, people do not appreciate what you create. I mean, when you think about designers like Le Corbusier or Charlotte Perignon, they designed stuff like they did, right? And we all appreciate them now, but now we appreciate them, and it's like 70 years later. And you need to think about the time when they created it in the 30s. I mean, how must people felt when they looked at these very minimalistic chairs, but actually everything was decorated, was carved, was ornaments and elements. And I mean, just think about the cars, how they have been in the 30s. They have been curved around and very opulent. And then there comes someone and thinks like, this is now the new design language, and I do it like this, and you should like it. I think for them it was also very difficult, and I guess most of the industry didn't really care about them. Now, of course, they are quite celebrated and we like it. But I think it's for your own history and your own, legend is maybe too much, but I think it's what you want to achieve. You leave something behind it. And if I go to places we created, like for example the Grey now here in Dubai, I really like it a lot. I love to be there. I like to see the artwork on the wall, and I like to see people who enjoy it. I love it when I have a group of locals sitting there and they're so happy, and then someone introduces you to them and they are like, wow, this is so incredible. I love this place. I could live here. That's a huge honor for me. I think it's amazing. So, and creating public spaces is a bit more thankful because you get this direct feedback of people immediately, or more or less immediately, because you can also hear it, right? Because you can go there and just get the big elephant ears. And if you do a private, it's more hidden. It's also more complicated because if you create for private, I like also to create for private people, but in this case, you're a bit like a bird with tied up wings. Because you don't create for your own creativity, you create for the person who's going to move into this place. So except they maybe understand you fully and they hire you because of your own creativity, you're a bit like, no, it's like this, no, it's like this, no, I don't like that color, no, I like this, and in the end, you're so limited, it's like you're walking to a labyrinth. So that's, also of course good, and I 100% appreciate this, but sometimes limitation, or if you cut the wings of a designer too much, it's very complicated for you to create. No? Creativity needs, we always say like you need the wings to fly. I mean, if you don't have them anymore, it's quite challenging to create something cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you have so many limitations. We have municipality limitations, one thing. Then you have budget limitations. Then you have, client taste and limitations. And if they don't trust you, it's very complicated. But if you have a client who trusts you, it's amazing. I mean, that's the thing we love and we wish. I mean, I'm quite lucky, and I have some clients who really do so, and they let us this kind of freedom, creative freedom and space, and then it's good. And now, of course, we also have some brands. We start working with brands on products, and this, of course, gives you space and freedom, which is quite good. I mean, we're working with an Asian brand, and we work on a glass collection of furniture, which hopefully, COVID made all very slow and all delayed all, but we trying to push it out for 2022. So,
well, I hope people let you fly more and more, because you came to the Middle East, just under 2 years?
I was here before. I came to the Middle East.
But let's say permanent with an office and more settled, let's call it.
Yes.
But within the first year, not only you get in the top 50 designer in the Middle East, not only you get on the ID power list, but your restaurants, the Top Room, wins the Global Restaurant Award.
Yes, we won.
Right.
Yes.
So you come in, you conquer.
Yes.
Very simple.
That's very.
So what is the secret of winning this kind of?
Being a Sagittarius.
Unfortunately, we cannot change where we were born.
Take the target.
Yeah, it's.
No,
what does it take to
know.
create such award-winning places?
The 23 years before.
Experience.
Yes, I think so. Look, it looks so easy when you then design and everything comes easy to you and fast, and you do it like tong, 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 and people think, that's easy. But this easy comes due to all this experience. I mean, you said a few of it, like all these stations in my CV, this kind of crazy ups and downs. I mean, look, it looks like it's only up, right? But I mean, you're with a company, you lose the job maybe, or your position has been redundant. It's not just up, up, up. I mean, it looks like, but it's not. There's maybe, you rise up and then there comes the big wall against you, and then you fall. And you fall deep because you think you're on the way of success, and then out of a sudden there's a company change, and then they tell you, your position is not existing. So from next month on, you're not with us anymore. We pay you out, good luck, and we can assist you. But that's not always the case, and I think it's just like all this summary of all these stations in your life, and of course countries. I'm very privileged. I worked more or less, except of South America. I worked everywhere in the world, because I had a global position with Fairmont Ruffles. So I worked from Middle East, America, Europe, of course. I worked in the whole Russian and the East European region. I have seen all these countries, and of course also the heritage of those countries, and of course also here. And Asia was my biggest market. So I have seen cities in Asia. I've never heard from them before. So, I mean, I've been in Asian cities, I guess you don't even know them. So, and we traveled for many weeks to that regions. I met all these amazing local clients, and we had local teams, and we worked with all the other design teams, right? I mean, I was in charge of leading teams like HBA and Leonardo, and then, I mean, many teams. And you have this incredible, position to meet them, to meet the owners, to get all this kind of impact of the regions with all the kind of, what you should do, what you should not do. You're in a big brand which supports you massively. And it's great because you get all this kind of different influences. style and also you know, social background, but also, I mean, you know, it's different. We all know, right? I mean, here you cannot build in the same way like you can build in Europe, because they will not understand. Asians would not understand the same way like we would do in Europe. I know that the standards and specification book of Swissôtel, which I was part of to develop it, there is a sentence in like you know, it's about less is more. So less is more, and we had a Chinese client, and it's so funny, and he always said, no less is more is more. And you know, but he was assigned to get a Swissôtel, and then you need to explain them that literally this kind of purism, minimalism is luxury. But for them, luxury is luxury, right? I mean, you know, they have been living in poor for several centuries, so for them, richness is rich. So they want to show off, and they want to do, and then you have to tell them, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do that. It's a very difficult position you're in, and but we managed. And I mean, I think sometimes also you have to tell design teams off, and you have to tell them, look, this doesn't work.
I like your approach. You say things as they are, and you are an advocate of making things bespoke, from artwork to furniture, so creative, unique, original experiences.
Genuine,
but how is the industry actually practicing, in your opinion, on this kind of bespoke concept?
I think, I mean, in the industry in terms of clients?
No, the design industry. Do they always create original design, or what is the illness of the industry right now?
I think it depends, right? It depends, first of all, I mean, the industry, the production industry, sometimes it's about numbers. For us, it's always a bit complicated to say, look, we want to produce whatever, only 20 or 40 chairs. That's, of course, tricky, because it's a low number, and we all know. Usually it's like 100, 150 pieces, then they start to do bespoke. But if we, light, we produce even one. Of course, then they are more expensive, but it depends. I think clients are very thankful for this, because they get this unique moment of attention, because, you know, you have something unique in your space. It's like an art installation. So, and they agree on this to do it. But of course, it has a lot of, I mean, for us, it's always lots of convincing sometimes, and also trust, because, you know, we don't have a ready photo. It's a bespoke item. It's literally, you need to decide on a render, maybe a 4 model. Sometimes we do 4 models, but that's how you have to decide on. And then you have to have your own imagination to think, okay, how does it look then if it's golden? How does it look when it's whatever, colored? You know, the light installation we did with Las Fit years ago, the client never saw it ready till the moment it was hanging.
Wow.
So
but you trust the artist, which is you, right?
Yes, but you know, that's quite tricky as a part, because there was not enough time to do so. And of course we know, like, you know better, I guess, than I do, because you're also in the furniture industry. Production of mock-ups take time, and it's not just a quick thing and quick fix for a project to do this. I mean, we developed this armchair, the island for techno, which is still under discussion, but you know, then it's about, developing this prototype costs a lot of money and a lot of effort, and for this we actually need a signed project. So that's why it's currently on hold. And then of course COVID was not helpful for none of us, because mock-up, you know, we have to go there and we have to check them. So mock-up review is not possible over a video. I can't do this, because I need to sit on it, I need to see proportions. So it's very, very important to fly and to go. I mean, luckily now we can all go again and see things and products. But I think the industry is more and more open. I mean, furniture industry also. I mean, we get more offers to work as designer on product and on specific new items. But I think in general, it's not easy if you're a new name in the industry. We are still a new name, even if we won awards. We are a new studio. We are not very big. I mean, we are young for this. Even if I'm 23 years in the industry, or 24 now, we are a young studio. It's like, you know, I'm not Piero Lissoni. I'm not sending my card out and everybody jumps.
But you obviously take a lot of time. You are an artist, so you create a lot of time to create original, bespoke, environment,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then you go in front of the client, and the first word you hear from the other side, value engineering. How does it make you feel?
We are pretty keen on not value engineer, so on our projects. Or if we value engineer, we are in control of it. So I'm very involved in our projects from the moment we design them till the end. So I think that might be very unique for the region specific, also for other regions, but we really try to keep it aligned, as you said, and because I think it's very important that you can stay in it to guarantee exactly this, because materials are very important, execution is very important, and a little change on something can mess up the whole design.
But it's incredible, we advocate about design integrity, but more and more and more, the word value engineering pops up everywhere. So how do you prevent it from happening?
You can. I mean, if you cannot. I mean, I'm not a fit-out company, so.
No, but as a designer, from client chopping your design.
Yeah, you can always say, "Then I leave you."
So no compromise, like your mentor, never compromise.
Go. No, I'm very good in the drama, actually. I learned. I tried this. I'm not taking this any longer. I'm leaving you. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think in the end you have to say no. I mean, there's a certain point of limitations, and I mean, you have like this eye-catching elements in a project where you have to. These ones you have to protect, like they're your own flesh and blood, and then you can maybe negotiate on other things.
Yes, like telling a painter, hey, the Mona Lisa needs to look
She
more
needs to
beautiful,
smile
like a Barbie doll, it just...
It's not really working like this, right? I think
Exactly.
that's the, I mean, in the end, they have to decide then if they want to let you go or if they want to stay with you.
Yeah. Hey,
we have one client, I actually resigned already 3 times.
Wow. But they probably come back all the time.
He always comes back.
He cannot do without you.
I don't say the name now.
No. But he cannot do without you. He knows the
in
value
the
you
end,
bring.
it's like a love-hate relationship. It's
Right.
a bit. A friend of mine said he knows us both, and he said, your relationship is worse than every marriage.
It's a very expensive club to join, but even more expensive to leave.
I think, but you never know. Maybe a marriage is more expensive. I don't know.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you.
Tell me.
Since I love your straightness, on answer,
Yes.
but the very first thing I referred at the very beginning, saying, "Hey, 23 years ago, I don't think nobody would have, take me on as that." But I see also that the fact that there is a very hot topic right now in the industry, and is gender equality.
Yeah.
How do you think is the design industry doing in making sure there is good balance between men and women?
I don't think there's any balance, and I actually, I'm not joining these talks for women talks and female supportive, because I'm a woman. That's quite clear. That's by birth. But I think, that's how it is. I mean, it's an industry which is male-driven, and we know this. Like, if I say male-driven, it's not because yes, there are more and more female coming in the industry, and there also are very good designers. But I mean, I have a strong, as you said, I have a strong CV, and I worked everywhere. I worked in corporates, and I worked in design studios, and I also work on construction side. I have been a project manager, and I know how the industry is, and how you have to be as a female. I think first of all, to be and reach this position, you have to be better than the men. That's one thing, because otherwise you will not be where you are. Unfortunately, that's a tough one to say. But it's also, the industry is very demanding on you, but there are, it's still a male-driven industry, because if I look around, all the corporates are still in male hands. The people who decide on which project I get are mostly men. If I go in leading positions of a hotel chain, or I look into big other production industries, or whatever, DIFC, or, there are more men. So if we say it's equal, no, it's not. So, you know, and this kind of discussing this blah 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 because I'm female. You know, first of all, you're intelligent. You have two hands and you have hopefully a functional brain, so that's equal. So you did your job, you studied. That's also the same. So for me, no difference. The only difference we have, and that's where the problem starts, is that female usually getting kids. And in our industry, having a child is a huge problem. So because we have demanding work hours. So, and if you want to take care of your children or your kids and you have this work hours, that's a problem. And I mean, I got asked in my career once, because I deleted my daughter from my CV. That's what you have to know. So I deleted her long time ago from my CV. My daughter is now 16 years old. She knows this, that I deleted her. So I didn't mention her, because if you as a man apply for a position, you will not need to mention your kids, right? So I thought the same. So if we are equal, I do not have to mention my child. Mm-hmm. Because in my work and daily professional life, my daughter has no impact because I work.
Of course.
So, and if I have to handle her differently with, I don't know, a nurse or a grandmother or friends who take care or whatever, it's my problem, not the problem of my employer. So that's why I took off. And then we had the discussion about this. And so in the meeting and in the conversation, I also said, like, but stop. Would you ask this question to a man, to one of my male colleagues? And then they both looked at each other and they said, no. And I said, okay, so then we're done here. So, and I literally just stood up and left the conversation. Look, and I think that's the big point, and we still don't see properly in this conversation about gender equality and female empowerment and support. I mean, my meanest bosses have been female, to be honest, and I have a big problem with my mentorships have been all men. The industry is still very male-driven, but in general, I think female under each other are not very supportive. So this kind of networking, as we know it from men, as we know when men, you know, they're going into clubs, they go golf playing, they support each other, they send you specs here and there and there. This is very rare in our industry as female. You know, we produce also products, you know, and we yes. do manufacture carpets and rugs and also for hotels and everything. So, but, you know, I'm in the industry and we produce quite well, I mean, like very high level products. We produce in Nepal and we also have a charity behind it. But I've never, now we do this since 2 years, I have not once received any requirement or specification sheet by any woman who claim in public they're supporting other females. You know, if I then see this and you ask me about support and female empowerment, I do not think and I don't believe it's existing. So if you put this under your, I mean, wings to make you better looking, and you put this, I don't know, on your values that you're the big female empowerment person, mm-hmm. I don't believe you. Because, you know, if there's some, I mean, sorry to say, but I don't think it's there.
Right, so a lot of people put a strap line, but they actually do nothing
it's nice.
about it.
I mean, it's a tagline you like because it's you. I mean, it's like upselling thing, right? It's like when you write on something, oh, it's without sugar, or it's healthy. You know, like that's a new tagline. Female empowerment. It's like the new tagline. You know, I don't know. I don't see it like this. I think it's not, as I said, I think it's not existing in the way that people making it look alike. I do not believe in it. I think it's really not, because there's, I mean, our industry, and you know this, it's very competitive. That's one thing, and competition is very tough. So, and this kind, I mean, if you would say like a female empowerment, and then there are other female businesses like whatever, designing lights, creating products, creating, I mean, which we do for others, right? You know, we have them in galleries, and then you would at least get a request for it. We got only once a request by one person, which is the office of Christina Zarnik, for an artwork and for other things. So, but all the others, not. So, and if you say, look, I'm supporting female, and you know there's someone starting and they have great products, why would you not require them or request them?
On the same token, taking what you said, that a lot of people talk, but eventually nothing happens.
Yeah.
How do you feel about sustainability, about the discussion about sustainability? Is that the same scenario?
I think, in our industry, I think sustainability, of course, it exists. I mean, we work with very genuine materials. That's one thing. That's already where sustainable starts, right? When you don't use massive amount of plastics. But also and we work with LED lighting. So which also is like, we try to reduce the impact, our footprint on the world as much as possible. In terms of shipping and bringing in, because we unfortunately do not have a production industry here in the UAE. It's a problem because we all know the moment I ship items, I have massive amount of wrapping, packing, and also, bringing them in is either by sea or over air. So, and our industry also, when we fly and we go and see clients, now less than before, but now still, we're still traveling. It has a massive impact. I remember 2 years ago when I came from Asia towards here once a month, that's a massive impact. It's not sustainable at all. Or flying to now we can start this again, flying to Saudi forward and backward. It's a footprint you leave. We are working on a project with a cooperation partner, which is of course very sustainable because we're working in the energy business. Mm-hmm. So we have a cooperation partner, and for them we're developing the factory or the plant, and they create energy out of trash. So that's another thing. That's for sure 100% sustainable because we're working on the huge pile of PET in the world. But in general, I think our industry has an impact on sustainability and of course on our environment. We know companies like Pedrali, they produce very green and they also use solar energy with all their factories and things and stuff like this. But in general, as soon as you bring in items and they have to be shipped in and imported, you have an impact, and it's not a good one.
Since you are I love your straight talking, real straight talking, no nonsense.
No nonsense,
I don't know where you come from.
No time for nonsense.
I don't know where you come from your 24 years experience, or because you're a very proud German lady, with a global experience. And
yes.
But if I put a massive white canvas on the top of Burj Khalifa, what message would you write on there?
On the Botschafter, live the vision.
Wow. Why is that?
I first of all think it fits to a lot. It fits to every young designer or student or every young person, that they have a vision in their life and they should always reach for it. Like, you can never reach too high. Live your vision. And also for me, UAE is the perfect example. I think Sheikh Mohammed and all the others is like live the vision, and they're the biggest example of a vision. Think about how it was years ago, a flat desert, nothing in it. And they are the best example. Live your vision, make it work. And I think that's exactly what people need to see. Like, as I said, a CV looks great and it looks like it always went up. It didn't went always up. I had massive failure. And I've been on the ground where you think like, oh my God. So, and the one thing that always keeps you running is like, stay honest, stay true. Maybe no nonsense talking. There's no time for this in your life. You should be always straightforward, and you say always the truth to people. Like, it's much easier. You cannot, what did I say to them? No, why? Life is too short for this. And live your vision. I think that's exactly what people should see. Young students, a school kid, you have a vision, you dream big. And there's nothing that can limit you. And if someone says you're not going to make it, go further. Because there will be a lot of people that tell you you're not going to make it. I got told this so often. And I can tell, I write lists of names of people, and we literally overrun them all. I showed them, as you said, in less than a year, of a project I designed at a pool, because I had no office. Toplum has been designed only by me, literally, next to a pool in Thailand. In a little sketchbook. I have this sketchbook still, it's called Toplum. So, but there's no limitation to your dreams. So, and I think live the vision is literally this, what it all stands for. And I think specific UAE is incredible for it.
Vera, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much
for having me. It was a pleasure being here.
Absolutely. Yeah. And hopefully we'll come back soon.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Thank you.